Good morning, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. We had big fireworks display here in Nashville, always do. They estimated the crowd somewhere between 500 and 600,000 people. I just can't do that. I'm too old for that. But yeah, we heard them. They started about 9:30. We can hear it. I live close enough downtown, so you could hear it. You could see the lights and hear it. My neighborhood, with the exception of one idiot neighbor down the street who would pause. Basically, he gets drunk, shoots fireworks, passes out, then wakes up, shoots fireworks, then passes out. The volley at 1:30 in the morning woke me up, and then the final volley at 3:30 this morning kind of woke me up, woke my wife up. Luckily, my dog survived. She's getting older, and she only had one moment where she went a little crazy, but she was fine, which I appreciate. Because she's a good girl, she's an old dog, and she hates fireworks and lightning. All right, so as the title suggests, I'm searching for Browns news, any Browns news whatsoever. It's been kind of quiet. Mostly Cleveland is concentrating on LeBron and his next destination. I've read a few articles about that, and it seems like Cleveland might be in the lead for LeBron's services. Now, I just like the fact that if he comes back to Cleveland, that'll be his last team. He's experienced. And like I said Thursday, you ain't going to blow a 20-point lead with LeBron sitting there on your team. Just ain't going to happen. So I'm kind of just midway excited about that. You know, we've been through this before. Comes in, plays well, leaves, comes back, gets a championship, which I certainly appreciate. 10 years ago, I was watching it. I went crazy. And now, possibility of him coming back, LeBron, yeah, that's great. But this is a Browns podcast, so I went on a search for Browns news. Now, I ignore anything from Pro Football Focus, simply because Mike Florio, who writes and created Pro Football Focus, is a Steelers fan. Sorry, I know a few Steeler fans. I'm related to a couple Steeler fans. I'm sure there's a lot of Browns fans out there who are related to some Steeler fans. But I just don't take anything he has to say about the Browns. I take it with a grain of salt. But I came across an article from Bleacher Report, which I like. They do great lists. And it is listicle season. And they did an article called Most Overpaid Player at Every Position. Well, first of all, they didn't cover every position. Second of all, you got to know who's number one on that list before you even open the article. Number one, quarterback, Deshaun Watson, because let's face facts. He is the most overpaid player in the NFL. I got no problem with that. And they listed some other ones, which I found interesting. Christian Watson of Green Bay, most overpaid wide receiver. Yeah, Green Bay did give him a huge contract. Dan Moore, offensive tackle, Titans. I said when they signed him, they overpaid for him. And they're still overpaying for him. This one I caught interesting. Patrick Queen, inside linebacker, Pittsburgh. Well, of course, Pittsburgh has the most expensive defense in the NFL. They do every year. And, they go with a philosophy, a defense wins you championships. Right now, defense can't even win you a playoff game. Some other ones, Brian Cook, safety of the Bengals. Yeah, he hadn't had many interceptions. I think he's had 3 interceptions in the last 15 games or even more than that. So, there are overpaid players, but there were 2 Browns on this list. The other one was offensive guard Zion Johnson. Now, I've known that Bleacher Report is not a big fan of Zion Johnson. But I thought it was a pretty good signing simply because of the fact that he's played 65 out of 66 games with the Los Angeles Chargers. And that was in 4 years. And he plays both guard spots. He is second, and this was from a ESPN article when he signed. He is second in run block win rate, but fifth worst in pass block win rate. His run block win rate was 79.3. His pass block win rate was 87.4. So yeah, if you look at it that way, it kind of looks different than but in 2025 he only allowed 3 sacks and 665 pass blocking snaps, 3 in 65 attempts. So I don't know if he's overpriced, overhyped a little bit maybe, but then Browns sign all brand new offensive line and all of them are going to be overhyped. Let's take a quick break. Now, here's where I get into a little bit of an argument with this article, because it's based on how much money they are paying these guys when they signed them. Bad teams have to overpay, but they have to be smart about it. I mean, that's just the way it goes. If you want a certain player, you're going to overpay. Now, in the past, the Browns have overpaid and not gotten the production they wanted. I can think of many players that the Browns have signed and not got the production out of it. And we have to wait and see on Zion Johnson. But they use Pro Football Focus, which I like. And they used Spot Track for the contract, which I don't like. I use Over the Cap. I use Over the Cap because they're more accurate. They come in earlier with news, like with contracts. Somebody signs a contract, Over the Cap will get it first, and they explain it in a very simple way. Even I can understand it. And let's face facts. Cap guru Jack Duffin uses them. So, but here's the breakdown of this 3-year. Now, the 3-year contract, which Bleacher Report, that's the whole purpose of the article. Overpriced players at every position. He signed a 3-year, $49.5 million contract with $32.4 guaranteed. Now, Bleacher Report says he's going to get $18.8 million in 2026. Now, that's based on what they took from Spot Track. I went over to the Cap. I looked at his contract, which you can do. You just click on the team, click on the player, and they have it perfectly explained. Now, in 2026, his cap hit is going to be $5,145,000. His guaranteed money is only going to be $1,725,000. $1,725,000. That's his guaranteed money for this year. 2027, now it's a 3-year contract. 2027, his cap hit is going to be $7,751,000, and his guaranteed money jumps up to $13,565,000. And of course, there's a 3rd year where he has no cap hit whatsoever, and I believe his guaranteed money jumps up to around over $15 million. And then he has a couple void years to spread out the signing bonus. So to sit there and base an article entitled Most Overpaid Player at Every Position, and again, they didn't do every position. Well, they did guard and tackle, and you could go left tackle, right tackle. I didn't see one for center. So, and then to base it on the fact that you're saying that another website said he's due $18.8 million in 2026, but then you go down and you look at the contract breakdown, now a lot of that money may be upfront cash, which doesn't count against the cap. That's up to the owner and the GM to pay. But I do know that the Browns last year, after being in the top 5 in upfront cash, again, which doesn't count against the cap, last year they were 20th in the league. So they are reducing their upfront cash simply because they have rookies on their team. But getting back to this article, so he's not really overpaid if he's only going to get $6.8 million in 2026. And that upfront cash can be broken down to the length of the contract. Contract is 5 years, basically 3 years for the player, 2 void years. So, and if he doesn't play well, he can be cut in 2028, and there's a cap savings before the season even starts. Now, we all agree that the offensive line was the absolute worst in the NFL last year, and Andrew Berry had to fix it. And I think he did a pretty good job fixing them. The only thing you don't really know about right now is center. And there's been some confusion between the head coach and the GM. Head coach says that he's got to find his center, and the GM says they already have their center. So basically, I mean, they went out and signed Titus Howard, right tackle. He's your starting right tackle. They have Zion Johnson. They have Zion Johnson, or is it Zion Jenkins? I don't. And they have Elton Jenkins as your center, but he can play guard. Drafted Fano, left tackle. Drafted a center and another right tackle, left tackle, in Austin Barber. So basically in OTAs and minicamps, it was left tackle Fano, left guard Zion, center Elton, different right guards. They're still looking for their right guard. And then, of course, Titus Howard is your right tackle. It depends. If they can find their center, they're hoping Parker Brailsford steps up. And then you can move Zion Johnson over to right guard, and you're looking good, except you have 2 rookies on the offensive line. Everybody knows what happens when you have 2 rookies. Watch New England against a very, very good pass rush in Seattle in the Super Bowl. So, but at guard, you know, you got Tavon Jenkins. You've got, I don't know, Zach Zinner. I don't think he's going to make the squad. I really don't. And KT Levinston, who they are finally trying at guard. Great run blocker, lousy pass protector, but you slide him in there between Titus Howard and Jenkins at center, you're good. So, I mean, Elton Jenkins at center, you're good. So I'm not going to worry about the offensive line. Also, if you look back after Zion signed, he said one of the main reasons was he wanted to block for Quinshon Judkins. Very impressed with the young running back, as we all were. And he also mentioned the fact that George Warhop is the offensive line coach, called him an elite offensive line coach. Well, he already knows how to run block. So they are definitely going to run the ball. I've been saying that from the beginning. I mean, if it's just now dawning on the media members in Cleveland, hey, they might want to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. But they're also going to pass. So if Warhop can teach this kid, and he was drafted in the first round, he's durable, he's versatile. So I really don't see the problem here with what they're paying him if Warhop can teach him how to pass block. And I have no problem. I mean, the guy is supposed to be an elite offensive line coach. He's really, really good friends with Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas loves him. So I'm not worried about the offensive line. Unless they get hit by a lot of injuries. Let's hope they don't. But I'm not worried about it. I think they're going to run the ball. The last time Todd Monken was in Cleveland, he was the offensive coordinator for Freddie Kitchens. Nick Chubb was second in the league in rushing with almost 1,400 yards. Baker had something like 36, 3,800 passing yards. Both OBJ and Jarvis Landry had over 1,000 yards receiving. That's what Todd Monken can do offensively. Run the ball, pass the ball. And like I keep saying, he wasn't brought here to tank. This is his one and only chance to be a head coach in the NFL. This is it. So I think I'm not worried about the offensive line. I mean, I'm not going to read articles like most people do on best uniform or best helmet and all that garbage. I like Bleacher Report, but I got to disagree with them. I mean, the way the contract is really, really structured, they really didn't overpay for a guy who's going to step in, can run block, and be your left guard, and be a stabilizing force next to a rookie at left tackle. So that's it for today. Not much to talk about. Hopefully we'll have an answer on LeBron this week. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back, but I'm not gonna shed a tear if he doesn't. But it would be kind of nice. Be a nice story. Comes back again. So that's it for the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical L's Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network, brought to you by Hemisphere Coffee, where they shake the hands of the farmer, and hopefully soon Sherry's Licorice. So everybody have a great day. Thank you for watching, listening, subscribing, and following us here at the Fanatical L's Network. We're just Browns fans like you. We may not win awards. I mean, I know I'm not going to win an award for best dress. I mean, I'm a Browns fan. I've got like a ton of T-shirts, a ton of jackets. You know what it is, sweatshirts, hats. I got more Browns hats than I got any kind of hat. So, we're not going to win awards, but we're going to tell you the absolute truth. And if we're wrong, we'll be the first to admit it. But we're just Browns fans like you. So everybody, have a great day and go Browns.